my favorite books of 2023. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Lynn from the channel Lynn H Loves, and today I wanted to make a video about my favorite books of 2023. I read 18 books, which is quite a lot for me, and I thought I would talk about them a little more in depth. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my blog. I also linked my favorite lip gloss in the description, so check that out. I used this combo of a lip liner and the Fenty Beauty gloss, and I totally love it. It's the first time trying it out, but everything is linked down below. Let's just start right away with the first book. The first book that I read in 2023, which was also my favorite book of the year, is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I currently don't have a physical copy with me, but I'll insert here the picture of the cover of the edition I have. I have this lovely beautiful penguin black spine. I really like those. They really come with everything you need. A great introduction, sometimes a map, a chronological timeline, and then quite some notes and explanations, which I totally love. And I love the format, I love the cover, I think it's really beautiful. But it was the first book of the year that I read. It was also my first Russian literature book, which I so love right now. I think it's really accessible. I thought I would have a hard time understanding it, but it was really readable for me, and I like this story. My favorite characters were, I think, Levin and maybe Anna in the beginning of the story, but I started to dislike her actions later in the story. But I think it's really beautiful. It's such a good story. It's painted so realistic. I really was living along the characters, and it took me, I would say, 5 weeks to read it, which is totally fine. I had a really good time, and Anna Karenina set the bar for rating books in 2023. It was my first 5-star read of the year, and it was just such a good beginning. I would highly recommend you to pick it up. It's really easy to read, and it's such a good story. My second favorite book of the year is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I started reading this back in March, and then due to moving I put this one down and didn't really pick it up again. And I think it was about in October that I started to pick it up again, and I totally love it. I think it's done in a really clever way. It's a story about two magicians in England, and they are doing the tasks of magicians just when people thought that magic had died. And it's just such an interesting story. I really liked it. The thing that I liked the least were the little descriptions of the war, but it wasn't a lot. I thought it was really done well, and my favorite was of course Jonathan Strange. I really liked his character. I thought he was so witty and funny, and he was so intelligent but also taking action. I really liked that, and it was beautiful described, and I could really see it really vivid. I really like that. I find out I really like fantasy politics, so this is a recommendation if you like books about magic, fantasy and politics. So I would highly recommend to check it out. It's quite a big book. It just has over 1000 pages, but I think it's absolutely worth it. I totally love it, and I hope we will get the second book in the trilogy, because Susanna Clarke was planning on writing this a trilogy, but the second and third book never came. So I hope we will get those in the future. And it was just a really exciting book, and the end had me like, oh, now I have to digest that I just finished this book. Okay, I need to slow down for a bit. I have to process that I just finished this book, and I thought it was just such a fun read about magic and fantasy and magicians. So I would highly recommend to pick this up if you're into fantasy. My third favorite book of 2023 is The Ice Palace. I picked this up because I had seen Emma of the YouTube channel Emmy talk about it, and I thought it was really interesting and quite unique synopsis that she gave, so I really wanted this. I got this from my dad, and it is this beautiful penguin modern classics. I really love this cover. I think it's so beautiful, and it's a short book, so really quick to read, and it's about a Norwegian author. The setting is also in Norway. It's about two girls that form a friendship until one of them goes missing in the ice palace. It's about grief, it's about the winter, it's about the cold, it's about the ice. It has some beautiful prose in it. It has beautiful written poems in it. It's so unique and interesting, and the play with words is just so fascinating. I would highly recommend to pick this up. I read this for my Reading Around the World challenge, also inspired by Emma. I saw a couple of years ago that she started the challenge, and I was really inspired to start it myself. So that's what I'm doing right now, and this is what I read for Norway. If you have recommendations for books to read from other countries, please let me know. I would love to get your recommendations and read from more countries. But it was just so fascinating, this book. I would recommend you to pick this up, and I haven't really heard many people talk about it, which is quite sad because it's just such a good book. My fourth favorite book of the year is The Enchanted Sonata. I also picked this up because of Emma. I had seen her talk about it, I think about a year ago, and it's this fantasy novel. It's a Nutcracker retelling. It's one of my favorite ballets, and I rewatch it every holiday season, so I knew I had to pick this up, and I loved it. It's a middle grade book, but I think middle grade stories are for everyone. I had so much fun. I read it in a couple of days, and it was just perfect for the Christmas season. It's about this girl named Clara, and she plays the piano really well, but on Christmas Eve she gets sent to Imperia, this magical world. I thought it reminded me a little bit of Russia with its union domed buildings, but I thought it was just really cool. And there she has to help the Prince of Imperia turn back all the children back to normal, because the children got turned into toys, into little nutcrackers, into little horses. And I thought it was just such a fun, cozy story. I really like this. I think it's perfect for the winter time. It's perfect for everyone to pick it up. It was just such a good nutcracker retelling and I really liked it. I also rated this 5 stars. So that was my 4th favorite book of the year. Then my last favorite book of the year is also the last book I read in 2023, and it is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. I bought this myself, I think during the summer, and I finally picked it up and it was just so good and fascinating. I thought it was a really unique concept. It's a book translated from the Polish, and I also read this for my Reading Around the World challenge and I really liked it, and I'm interested to pick up the writer's other books because she has quite a lot of them, which is really interesting. I also picked this up because I heard Emma talk about it and I was really fascinated about it when I saw it finally in the bookstore. And it's about this Polish woman that lives in a little village, and she and 2 others are the only villagers that live there the whole year. The other people come back during summer and leave when it starts to become autumn. So she and the 2 others are the only villagers that live there the whole time, until one of them gets found dead. And that is where the book starts. It's kind of a mystery with a fantasy element to it. It quite has magic, realistic aspects to it. I really liked it. It's just a funny, interesting, captivating book. I really liked it. The main character is a really funny woman. I really like what she says. She is also obsessed with astrology. She is not a really good astrologer, but she really likes that, and she also really likes English poet, and it's really fun to see that described in the book as well. And I would highly recommend for you to pick this up if you're into mystery books, into crime books, but you want something new, something that you haven't really read before, something interesting and fascinating, then you should definitely check this book out. And also if you want to read from other countries as well, which I think is really fun and important to do so. These were my favorite books of 2023. What are your favorites and what do you think of my favorites? I would love for you to let me know what are some books you want to read in 2024. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe or to check out my blog. Everything is linked down below. And I see you in the next video. Love always, from Lynn.